where we help you to enlighten yourself and, you know, all the rest is gonna and make fierce your body, right? Just like the old quote about just the old Chinese quote about and I was totally like, I'm gonna turn off the live and then start again in a few minutes. Just kidding. No, the whole idea is that like you keep learning about stuff and it just make it so enlighten that mind and then make your body fierce. Right. So with, with that failed opening, thank you for tuning in or listening to our podcast. A lot of great things happening right now in the world of Sanda. We're in the Sanda shirt, which is available in our store. It's definitely linked on our YouTube channel, also on our website. Should be. I'll double check on the website, but it should be up there. Um, but yeah, well, actually, speaking about our YouTube channel and website and stuff, you can always become a channel member. That really helps support what we do. So think about it, or at least get a shirt, get some of the merch, and then, or if you want to see more, we have a lot of great members only videos up there. I think I put up at least 6 this past month alone, and we have more coming out. Actually, I have one in the chamber that I want to put out. Probably now that I remembered, it's been up there for a couple weeks, so it's ready to go. So probably after the live stream, I'll just I'll just set it for members to view it. So if you want to become a member, it's in our YouTube channel. Just check out that link or the button, the join button. It's usually below the video window. All right. Okay. So with that being said, the World Wushu Championships is happening right now in Brazil, in Brasilia, Brazil. Yeah, I think that's the capital of Brazil, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but so I don't want to say that like the forums and stuff aren't happening. A wushu championship, and actually, I think people need to learn this part where it's like, yes, when they say wushu championship, it should have both the forms and the sanda, like the fighting. Um, but quite often, right now, I think the idea of wushu just means the forms, right? And at least commonly, and when people talk about wushu, they think about just doing the forms, which is it's not true. It should have both the 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 routines, or they call it taolu, and the fighting, which is sanda, right? So should have both. And actually, in the World Championship right now in Brasilia, they're having it. They're having both sanda and taolu, the forms. But I'm going to focus on the Tao, and now that I've been thinking about Taolu too much, I'm just going to cover the Sanda stuff because that's what I care about mostly. I've been watching all the sessions so far. Oh yeah, and also too, so you can watch all the sessions, which I think is fantastic. And actually, that's kind of the main point of the podcast today is that Sanda is doing really well. I think with the technology and stuff, the International Wushu Federation has been really taking advantage of that. So they have like a live stream for all the sessions, including the forums, including the Taolu stuff. So those are the words you actually want to look for, like on YouTube, the International Wushu Federation. They actually put everything with the proper names. So they're good, like on the thumbnail or on the title of the video, it's going to say morning Taolu session, right? Or morning Sanda session, or afternoon Sanda, or afternoon Taolu. So look for those words if you want to avoid one thing, right? If you only want to look at the form, if you only want to look at Sanda, then it's really easy to find on the International Wushu Federation YouTube channel. So just check it out, or like look up, International Wushu Championship 2025 or something like that. So one of the other things is it's pretty interesting from someone who lives in the United States, right? So we've seen in the Sanda, we've had a few people from the United States competing, and then I remember at least one person winning their first match. So that was pretty cool to see. Just know that also the I kind of want to talk about like the rules and stuff. So this tournament is the World Amateur Sanda Championship. So again, it's going to be very hard, right? So it's everyone's world class, but they are adults, or at least it's not the junior tournament that also happens, right? But um, it's going to be a little bit different from some pro Sanda tournaments. So when you see the current tournament, people are not going to be wearing shin guards, which is great. Um, most of them are not wearing the instep protector, so basically there's no padding on the leg at all or the foot. They are wearing helmets and they are wearing chest protectors, and also a mouth guard, and I'm sure cups. Um, but so another thing that's different from this would be knee strikes. There's not really knee striking, and there also isn't elbow strikes. Uh, but just know that, say, like if you someone were to do a pro or a professional Sanda match, then yes, you would have the knee strikes happening. And there's been many events where elbow strikes were allowed in professional Sanda. So, but Sanda for the majority, or at least for this tournament right now, you're not going to see knee strikes, but what you are going to be seeing is kicking, punching, and throwing. So kick, punch, throw. Just think of it that way. If you have any clean punches or kicks, you get points, right? So especially if you kick above the waist or click a clean kick to the head, you can get 2 points. Punches, just 1 point. And if you get a takedown, okay, so this would be one of the things you want to be sure about, especially if you want to understand Sanda. So if you get a takedown and you fall with the person, then you will only get 1 point, right? If you get your balance good enough and you do the technique cleanly enough and they fall down and you stay standing, then you can get 2 points. So you really want to work on your balance and you want to work on taking the person down and you stay standing. Also, on international competition, like the international amateur competition, it's going to be held on a raised platform called a lei tai. And so if you push your opponent off of the lei tai twice in a round, you'll win. At least you'll win that round. But um, you have to make sure that they're not hanging on to you as they step down or fall down, because then your push out won't count. There has to be a clean push out where you're no longer connected to that person and they are off of the stage, and that would be considered a push out. So those are the things that you really want to understand if you want to like know what it is you're seeing, because it can look a little different. And then also too, I think what you will be seeing a lot of, or at least what I've seen a lot of this round, this go around, right, is a lot of people falling with their opponent. I have been seeing some really great counters. If someone initiates a takedown, and then actually there was this match with a Mexican competitor where his opponent would lower his level to go for like a double leg, and then the Mexican competitor would reach over the guy's body and grab one of his standing legs, and he would throw the guy over him. We're gonna definitely do a video breakdown of that one, but there's actually been a lot of great takedowns, a lot of stuff that especially if those of you who might be interested in doing MMA, you want to pay attention to, because a lot of this stuff, a lot of these takedowns are just not in Muay Thai. So like right now, if you're a MMA fighter, a lot of people are doing Muay Thai and then mixing that with maybe wrestling or maybe jiu-jitsu or maybe all three of those. But those are the three main styles that people are mixing together for MMA. and so you're not going to be seeing a lot of the takedowns that you'll be seeing in this Sanda tournament. So for those of you who want to be like unorthodox or be considered unorthodox, or if you want to be surprising people in your MMA matches, you really want to be checking out Sanda, because you're going to see a lot of these takedowns. You're going to be able to then learn how to adapt it to MMA, right? Or even like say if you do grappling, right? So if you do like jujitsu, especially like no-gi tournaments, you can see a lot of these takedowns, and you'll figure out how to follow through after you get to the ground. Because again, Sandan, once you get the takedown, then they pause the action, they allow both competitors to stand back up, and then you begin again with the strike. So it is first and foremost a kickboxing style with a lot of the grappling, with a lot of the wrestling aspect still intact, because the wrestling has always been a part of like Chinese martial arts. It's always been part of kung fu. It's just a lot of people don't know about that aspect of kung fu or Chinese martial arts, but it's always been there. So from the beginning, it's been part of Sanda. So it's always been one of the more exciting aspects. Okay, so let's kind of go into some of the details of that. So it's not just it's not going to be again. So I think it's kind of good to compare it to Muay Thai. So in Muay Thai, they'll basically allow you to clinch up with someone, and then you just kind of hang on. So you'll have uh, your what do they call it, like a Thai plum. So you just have your forearms around the opponent's head and neck, and then you can hang on there and throw knee strikes and stuff. But in Sanda, you have once you clinch up, you have 2 seconds to get the person down, or 2 seconds to try to punch your way out. Or but if you're clinched up, you can strike the person. Those strikes don't count for points, but you can use that time to try to really hurt your opponent, so that they get tired, or so you can beat them easily later, after you've been broken up. So this is the biggest difference between Muay Thai and Sanda, this whole clinch aspect. So in Sanda, you will basically only have 2 seconds to do something right before the referee will separate you. So in Muay Thai too, a lot of times some refs, like especially if you're watching a lot of the pro Muay Thai stuff, you'll see refs not necessarily allowing the fighters to kind of linger too much in the clinch, but in Sanda you only have that 2 seconds, so it's definitely faster. So you have to have that split second decision making aspect going on, where it's like you gotta um, just decide on what you want to do and try to get the person down in that way. And then if that doesn't work, you have to chain wrestle, right? So you have to switch from one takedown to the next, right? To see if you can't take them down before the referee separates you. So if you want to get good at the takedown or the wrestling aspect of Sanda, you definitely want to be learning and just embodying a wide variety of takedowns so you can understand the principles, so that in a real match you can be flexible and you can um, find the different ways to take them down, even because like, especially in a match, a lot of times they're not going to attack you the way you expect, so that it's not like a lot of times the takedown isn't picture perfect, right? But at least if you know a wider variety of takedowns, and you can kind of finesse your way or find your way to getting a takedown from a wide variety of scenarios, whether you catch a kick or someone clinches up with you and they try to take you down, so you counter them, or you kind of grapple with them like a double leg takedown, or things like that. There's so many different scenarios where you can try to get the person down. So it's really fantastic if you like. It's very fantastic to watch, but then also if you are working on your takedowns, you know, like the Chinese, the jacket wrestling can help, or even spending other times just working on grappling. So you can be working on wrestling. Maybe you can try like even judo or something like that, something where it's like pretty much focused on the takedowns. But I guess I don't want to necessarily plug judo that much because the rules of judo they're different. So they had for the longest time the inability to like grab legs and stuff. I believe that they just reinstated that. So ultimately like maybe like a no gi shuai or like the no gi or no jacket wrestling from traditional Chinese wrestling. Um, that might be one of the better things for you to do, where you can grab the legs, grab the arms. There's nothing that's barred, and it's also without a gi, so you can get more time practicing getting these takedowns in a scenario that's closer to the sport you'll be competing in. So there's this big, well, I mean, not necessarily giant or whatever, but there's kind of a debate back and forth in jujitsu where people try to claim that, oh, the gi makes you a better no gi grappler. But I mean, you want to think about it. I think a lot of times people say stuff like that is because there's a long tradition of people doing jujitsu in a gi, or also people doing judo in a gi. So they kind of want to hang on to these traditions. But in order to win a national tournament, you don't have to waste your time putting a gi on. It's not going to dramatically change your life, right? So I've won two national Sanda tournaments in the United States, and I don't practice judo or anything like that. So you can totally win without putting on a gi. All right. Um, so, but a few things that I kind of want to mention where you can like benefit your Sanda, get better with Sanda. Something I was thinking about, it's like, yeah, you might want to spend more time doing just like regular kickboxing. All right, so not Muay Thai. Like, and this is what I want to say, because like Muay Thai is its own kickboxing style, just like Sanda is its own kickboxing style. But modern professional kickboxing is pretty much only striking. You can't even catch a kick. You can't clinch up. You have to get used to striking all the time. If you get close to the person, you gotta strike to get away, or so it's just a very strike heavy style. Uh, Thinking of that can help you in Sanda, in my opinion, because sometimes people are only thinking about clinching up and trying to get the takedown. But if you get really good at striking, maybe you can knock the person out. Because, like in the international competition, even though it's amateur, you can still win by knockout. So it's something to think about. Where it's like if you can knock your opponent out, you know that's great. Getting that win sooner than later is going to benefit you, especially in these tournaments. In the world competition, they're multi-day tournaments, so if you can win your match without like having to wrestle all the whole time, that would be great, right? So if your striking can just really uh, improve and get to a very high level, then it will only benefit you, right? So that's one of the things you might want to think about doing to supplement. So like as opposed to like putting on a gi to practice your grappling, you might as well spend time doing like kickboxing rules, striking, right? It's only striking, only kicks, right? Um, you might even want to try doing some boxing so you can get used to throwing hands like really quickly and strong so that it becomes very effortless. Because again, if you can get that knockout and you don't have to do the whole match, because like the way it's set up right now for amateur, you have 2 rounds at least. So if your opponent wins the first round and you win the second round, then you have to do a third round, right? So if you don't win both rounds, then yeah, you have to go to a third. So it can just be tiring. So if you can be knocking people out, you won't have to go all the whole distance, right? So it's one thing to think about if you really want to be competing at international level in Sanda, really improving that striking, making sure you add the push kick, like the stuff that's very quintessential to Sanda. So like the side thrust kick, all that stuff. Then you can, once you have like a very solid base with the striking, then getting those takedowns and stuff will be something then you can add to it. So, but spending time to refine your punches and kicks, it will benefit you a lot. Like, so if you can be getting knockouts, then that'll be great for you. You know, um, so and also too, if you can find some coach that can work with you for no-gi, traditional Chinese wrestling, to work on getting those takedowns. You can grab legs, and so you can be mixing in and also spending time getting creative with a lot of the different takedowns because um, I've already posted a few shorts of some of the cool takedowns. There's also been a lot of foot sweeps, a lot of different types of trips and stuff. So I've recorded a lot. I've done a lot of like there's a lot of stuff in the chamber, right? So we'll be posting. I'll just continue posting all those shorts because there's been a wide variety of takedowns. So all the unique stuff I'll definitely try to share and try to put up there, and then we'll also try to do a lot of breakdowns of a lot of these really cool and unique like takedowns or techniques. But they're like so we'll probably be focusing on a lot of the takedowns. But say for you, if you want to be a competitor, or if you are a competitor, I think it's great if you work on your striking as well to really get after that. Because the other thing that seems to be happening is um just it seems like Sanda's like really on, like really, coming around where, there's been a lot of American competition. There's seems like the National Kung Fu Wushu Association in the United States is really having like they're doing like coaching Sanda coach trainings. They're doing a lot of Sanda tournaments. So it's really coming back. I think like having an official Sanda circuit or regular Sanda tournaments is great because it seemed as though that like the forums were like always popular because you're not getting punched or kicked or whatever. So those are always around, but the Sanda kind of declined in popularity. But it's good to see it back. We're seeing other YouTubers who are not kung fu people learning about kung or like learning about Sanda and really letting people know that it's a fun and exciting sport. It's great. I'd say that if you want to try it out, whether you just want to do it as a hobby or if you want to become a competitor, go for it. Go for it. I think you'll have a lot of fun. So it's basically just how, like we mentioned, where in UFC we have the Norma Dumont. She put it in these way, she put it this way, where it's like Sanda has all the stand-up aspect of MMA. So, say those of you who want to be doing MMA later or want to do another, like a cross train in another sport that's very similar to MMA, Sanda is the most like MMA. So you have the punching, the kicking, and the takedowns. It's just, once you go down, then you're stopped, and then you have to stand back up. So actually, I don't know if you can see behind me there are those two gold medals. Those are my National Sanda gold medals. Um, also, there's a board behind me that yellow. That was like a wrestling uh, uh, like a wrestling tournament I did in China. Um, so I spent a lot of time. There's on this other shoulder. There's another kung fu, uh, uh, like the certification thing. So anyway, I know a little bit about kung fu, but main points. Sana seems to be doing well. The International Wushu Federation is using technology right there, so you can see they're using the YouTube and they're live streaming the tournaments, which is fantastic. So I really am like positive about the future of Sanda. So really, if you have any questions, let me know. We can go over plenty of things, but just know that we're going to be doing a lot of breakdowns on some of the moves, doing uh, a lot of breakdowns, maybe even some of the strategies. 'Cause some people are, again, are very good at kickboxing. So if there's anything that stands out, I'll make sure to record it to share with you, and you know we'll take it from there. So if you want to, and then also aside from the Sanda, we definitely want to keep working on like some of the culture stuff. We're probably going to be working on basically letting people know about some of the real authentic cultural kung fu things where we kind of mentioned in the last one we talked about the person who is uh, like the mythical creator of Tai Chi, Zhang Sanfeng. So from the Wudang Mountain. So a lot of people have heard of Wudang, or the really famous rap group Wu Tang Clan or whatever. So people hear about these things, but it seems like Shaolin is like the most popular thing. So we kind of want to maybe even show more about Wudang, uh, those figures, those historical figures. Also, we want to talk about it's usually translated as Water Margin or Outlaws of the Marsh. That's another like classic quintessential kung fu text, or well, at least it's kind of considered kung fu tech. There's a lot of fighting in it, so we'll probably be going over some of those stories as well, because they are not only a big part of kung fu culture, it is a big part of Chinese culture at large. Right? There's a lot of movies that have been made from the stories of Outlaws of the Marsh. Um, there's even a lot of sayings that are still used. So I think we're going to try to get Claire back on. So Claire was if you remember, if you watched, Claire was the one who presented a lot of information about Zhang Sanfeng in that podcast that we did about Wudang. So I think we'll maybe have Claire kind of give some examples of how Outlaws of the Marsh, or it's often called Water Margin, uh, like how it still is part of everyday Chinese culture. Um, so you might want to check that out before we go into it a little bit more later. So we're trying to work on that. Um, but yeah, just know it's a long book. So see if you can find it, check it out. Definitely, there's been a lot of Chinese movies about it. But yeah, it's very long. So usually it's like segments, right, of the different characters. There's many characters in there, and it's got many chapters. So a lot of people in it. So um, a lot to talk about, and it's really fun. So just know we'll be going over a lot of different things. But I think right now, try to enjoy the national or the international wushu championship. Check out their YouTube channel, and we'll be doing a lot of breakdowns. So if there's anything that you have a question about, feel free to comment. And we'll check it out, and hopefully together we can enlighten ourselves, right? And then we can make fierce our bodies, right? So see you next time.